I don't know, after hearing him calm and talking about the tether story, it's probable.
Please go down to the county attorney's office. I think you'll find a lot of humans down there.
All right.
No disrespect.
Stop driving.
I'm flirting with the judge in front of my dad.
Probation. What's going on? How's everybody doing? Trying to figure this out. As always, there we go. Everyone have a good Wednesday, pre-Thanksgiving night. All that good stuff. Sashina, good to see you. I hope everything went well. Phil, Ray Bay. Who else did we see? I saw JoJo, Girls AAU. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Got part 2. Jury selection. It's just as fun. Just as fun. I don't really have to say much more. So before we get into it, you already know what to do. Betty, hello. Live with Blake. Welcome. Like and subscribe. Do your jump kick backflips. Link trees down in the description as always. I do have an updated list of the people I'd like to thank for super chats, and I will do that at the end of the video. So, yeah. Let's go.
And then I'll ask you some general questions concerning your qualifications to County District Court. I'm Commissioner Paul Wool. I'm the judicial officer who'll be presiding over this trial with you for the next day or two. But before we get started, can I have everybody stand and raise your right hands, please? I'll swear you in. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truthfully answer any questions that are asked of you by the judge or the attorneys concerning your qualifications to serve as jurors in this case? Thank you. Please be seated. I'm going to give you some information regarding jury service, a little bit about what you can expect here, the process that we're going to follow. I'm going to start in a minute by giving you some general advisements about jury service and some of the terms that we're going to use and some of the rules that we're going to follow. And then I'll ask you some general questions concerning your qualifications to serve as jurors. After that, the attorneys will get an opportunity to discuss your potential jury service with you.
I'm just going to let it be known now. I kept in a lot of the procedural stuff because I find it interesting. I've been through it before. I've served on jury duty once. And this is kind of cool to watch to anyone who hasn't seen it. So you can actually see the instructions. But for the most part, I kept everything in. All right.
A little bit more of an informal way. After they've each done that, then we're going to select 7 of you to be the jury in this case. All right. So the remarks I make, the questions I ask, the questions I permit the lawyers to ask, and the instructions I give are directed to the attention of all of the jurors in the courtroom. Each of you is cautioned to pay close attention to these proceedings. In order that this case be tried before an impartial jury, the lawyers and I will ask you questions. Not to embarrass you or to pry into your personal affairs, but to determine if you are unbiased and without preconceived ideas that might affect the case. You should not withhold information in order to be seated on this particular jury. You should be truthful in your answers rather than answering in a way that you feel the court or the lawyers expect you to answer. It is presumed that when a jury has been selected and accepted by both sides, each of you will keep an open mind until the case is finally submitted to you, will accept the instructions of the court, and will base any decision upon the law and the facts, uninfluenced by any other considerations. The purpose of the questions during jury selection is to determine if you have that frame of mind. The lawyers have the right and the duty to challenge jurors for cause. They may also challenge up to 3 jurors without giving any reason. You should not take any offense if you are challenged, since the challenge is not exercised as a personal reflection on you. This is a criminal case instituted by the state of Washington as the plaintiff. The plaintiff in this case is represented by Deputy Prosecutor Mr. Robbins. And the person sitting here with Mr. Robbins is Mr. Thompson, and he is a supervising deputy prosecuting attorney. The defendant in this case is Nabil Farag, and Mr. Farag is here on my left, and he is representing himself today. The person sitting next to him is Mr. Pezderka. He is standby counsel. You may see Mr. Farag speak with him from time to time. The defendant is charged by complaint with one count of the crime of driving with a suspended license in the 3rd degree. The defendant has entered a plea of not guilty, and that plea puts in issue every element of the crime charged. The complaint in this case is only an accusation against the defendant which informs him of the charge. You are not to consider the filing of the complaint or its contents as proof of the matters charged. It is your duty to determine the facts in this case from the evidence produced in court. It is also your duty to accept the law from the court, regardless of what you personally believe the law is or ought to be. You are to apply the law to the facts and in this way decide the case. A defendant is presumed innocent, and this presumption continues throughout the entire trial unless you find it has been overcome by the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. The plaintiff has the burden of proving each element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. A reasonable doubt is one for which a reason exists and may arise from the evidence or lack of evidence. It is such a doubt as would exist in the mind of a reasonable person after fully, fairly, and carefully considering all of the evidence or lack of evidence. If after such consideration you have an abiding belief in the truth of the charge, then you are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt. As this is a criminal case, in order for the jury to return a verdict, you must be unanimous. Now, I have some general questions for you, and if you would answer yes or probably to the questions as I ask them, would you please raise your hand and leave your hand up until the lawyers and I have had a chance to make note of your juror numbers, but don't relate anything specific at this time. So have any of you ever heard of this case before? This case is called State of Washington versus Nabil Farag. Okay. It appears that no one has. And has anyone ever expressed to any of you an opinion concerning this case? All right, and again, it appears no one has. Do any of you know the defendant or the lawyers or anyone in the courtroom associated with this case? Okay. Juror number 12, Mr. Carroll, knows me. So I'll allow the attorneys to follow up on that with any questions they might have. But Mr. Carroll, would that association affect your consideration of this particular case?
No, it would not.
Okay. Now, do any of you know any of the following people who may be called as witnesses in this case? And Mr. Robbins, the names of the witnesses for the state.
It'd be Natalie Gronzo and Cole Jackson.
Do any of you recognize those names? I believe that Cole Jackson is a Washington State Patrol trooper, and Natalie Gronzo is a records custodian for this Washington State Department of Licensing. Any of that sound familiar? Okay. And Mr. Frog, did you want to add any names of the witness list for the jurors?
Witnesses.
If you do, just tell them the name.
No, I haven't been able to subpoena any witnesses.
Okay. All right. Have any of you ever had any personal experience with a similar or related type of case or incident? And I'll remind you that the criminal charge in this case is driving with a suspended license. Have any of you had any experience with that, either as a victim, a witness, or as an accused? Hands up there on that. That's jurors 13 and 18. Did I miss anybody? Okay, now jurors 13 and 18, based on that, will that fact influence your consideration of this case? You don't think so? Okay, thank you. And then similar question, do any of you have any close friends or relatives who's had an experience with a similar or related type of case or incident? Again, as a victim, as a witness, or as an accused?
Yeah, Mike just started playing the trial. My first video was the final conference. This is the jury selection. My next video will be the trial. So Mike just skipped right ahead of the trial, but he is playing that right now. But hi, Heidi. The Judge DeSanto had someone in her courtroom today named Heidi that was faking having COVID. She said she had a 103-degree temperature. That's where that joke was. So someone was just joking.
And we're going to say 13, 18, 19, 3. Did I miss anybody? All right, for those of you with your hands up, will this influence your consideration of this case? Okay, thank you. Are any of you connected in any way with the administration of justice? That is with courts, prosecutors' offices, public defenders' offices, or law enforcement agencies? Okay, juror number 18 again. Anybody else? Juror number 3, juror number 2. Okay. And for those of you who raise your hand, would this influence your consideration of this case? Juror 2.
Licensing issue, yes.
Do you work for Department of Licensing? Okay. All right. I'll make a note there. The attorneys may want to follow up with that. Okay. And then similar question again, are any of you related to or close friends with anyone connected with the courts, the administration of justice, or law enforcement agencies? Okay, I've got 7, 8, 3, and 4, 10, and 11, and 18. Got you, number 8. Okay. So for those of you who had your hands up, will this influence your consideration of this case? I think so. Getting no's all around. All right. Would any of you be unable to assure the court that you will follow the instructions on the law, regardless of what you think the law is or ought to be? It's a little bit of a oddly phrased question. So think of it in terms like this. At some points along the way, I'm going to advise you of what the law is, what the law says. And your obligation as jurors is to accept and follow that law. And if that is the case, even if you believe that I'm wrong and the law is something else, or if you believe the law ought to be something else. Now, can everybody do that? Follow my instructions on the law, even if you think I'm wrong, even if you think the law should be different. Okay, everybody thinks they can. Good. Do any of you know any reason why you might not be able to try this case impartially? And that could be for any reason that you don't feel you could be impartial. Okay, excellent. And then we estimate that this case will take the rest of today, the rest of tomorrow to try. And I know Thanksgiving is the day after that, or Thursday. So with those timeframes in mind, do any of you have any reason at all that you should not sit as a juror in this particular case? Okay. Hard set deadlines, babies getting born in your family. Okay, things like that. Juror 15. So what they say about short staffing in pharmacies is true from your point of view. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Juror number 11.
My cases are anti-coma and they can come up and
So demands of work for both of you. Anybody else that I missed? Nobody's flying to Europe for the holidays. Okay. All right, then with that, I'm going to turn this over to the attorneys to ask you some questions, and I'll remind you 20 minutes. All right. So first, please give your attention to Mr. Robbins on behalf of the state.
All right, before the prosecutor gets into his questions, I did see someone ask if this guy's a sob sit. He's not really a sob sit. He's close. I made the reference that he's very similar to Kim Blandino with his arguments, and he comes really close to the line of being a sob sit, but he doesn't cross it. He doesn't use the terminology, but some of his arguments are really close. Hopefully that answered the question.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I only have about 15 minutes with you, which to me is not a lot of time. And to you, that might feel like a lifetime, especially if you do 2 of them. So to save time, If I ask a question and the answer is yes, could you just please raise your hand? Let's try it. Who lives in Thurston County? Wonderful. Perfect. We selected right. Who is excited to be here? Good. Okay, nice, nice. Well, everybody is honest, it looks like. So I appreciate that as well. Number 19, you gave a kind of like maybe excited. Could I ask why? New experience? Huh? Oh, we appreciate you being here 3 times. Yeah. Could I ask, who here has been pulled over by the police? Is that everyone? Let me try this again. Who has not been pulled over by the police? Okay, I don't know if I have enough time for this one, but this was a big surprise. I'm gonna remember that for next time. Maybe ask that differently. I'm only at my second one of these, so note for later. Okay, who has served on a jury in the past? Great, great. Number 2, could I ask, without telling me, or no, with telling me, was it criminal or civil? Civil, okay. Anyone serve on a criminal jury before? 12, 20, 7, 3, 4. See if I can remember that number in reverse order. 12, without telling me what the case was about. Could you tell me if a verdict was reached?
No, a verdict was not.
Understood. Thank you. And I think next was 20. Wonderful. Again, please don't tell me what the verdict was, but was a verdict reached? Yes. Thank you. And I believe 4, 3 was next. Yes, 3. Bled out and 4. Okay. Thank you so much. Next, please raise your hand if you drive a car. All right. Now, this isn't to catch anybody, but please raise your hand if you have a license. Yeah, okay, good. And I know you're honest because of that first question. Good. Could I ask number 5? You drive a car and you have a license. Let me ask, why do you have a license? Wonderful. 6, why do you have a license?
Always had one to drive.
Makes sense. How about number 9? Oh, yeah. Is that a commercial license? Okay, so you've got, license and a license. Yes. Okay. And how about one more? What about number 14? Understood. This is kind of a weird question, maybe, but could you physically drive a car without a license? How about number 6? You raised your hand.
Yes, you can.
Totally, right? And yet we have them. This will be one of my last questions here. How about number 4? Why do you think the state requires people to have a license to drive a car?
The safety and legality requirement.
How about number 9? Why do you think the state requires us to have a license to drive a car?
For safety reasons.
Well, yeah, no, I was wrong, not you. But thank you for safety reasons. Number 8.
I'm sorry, question again.
Why does this? Yeah, I'm sorry. This was 100% my fault. Yes. Why does the state require us to have a license to drive a car? Wonderful, wonderful. All right. And lastly, are there any questions that you're thinking, if he would have asked me this, I would have raised my hand and it would have got me thrown out of here? That's just burning in your mind. Number 13, what is it?
I don't believe the state does licensing for safety measures. Generate income and create waste.
I appreciate that answer. And again, I know it's honest. Anybody else? No? Wonderful. Thank you again for being here.
All right. All right. So yeah, we do know this is this attorney's second jury trial. He doesn't look that young. I don't know. I'm not really that good at guessing ages. I really should be. I was a bartender for a while, but I'm not that good at it. Second jury trial. He says it a lot. This is in the state of Washington. I think it's Thurston County. I think I know this judge goes to. He has a couple different courtrooms. I think it's Thurston County though. But yeah, I'm gonna warn you right now. If you need a refill on your popcorn, your Pepsi Cola, thanks, Judge Stevens. Do it now. Do it now, because it's about to go down.
Okay, then members of the panel, now please give your attention to Mr. Farrar.
I need to stand, Your Honor?
It's up to you. You
Hayden.
Well, that's a good question, jurors. We have a serious situation. Involves thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and the driver's license is required by the state. I don't think anyone's going to agree with me. Essentially, to take that question or the answer to that question beyond what was asked and what was answered, the state requires to keep tabs on each motorist to see who's safe and who's not safe, and to see if there's a pattern from a motorist, a problem motorist, like for instance, driving while intoxicated, reckless driving, and so on and so forth. But the driver's license, traffic infractions that result in your license being attached should not be based on traffic stops or infractions that are nitpicking, and the court should not quibble over it and dismiss it like as if it's not worth their time to adjudicate, because if it's not resolved, then there's issues that linger and result in unresolved issues. But you can drive without a driver's license, and everything's fine if you don't get in an accident, if you don't get if you don't get pulled over. But the police out there, and here we're dealing with the Washington State Patrol, and they
You heard that right. You can drive without a license as long as you don't break the law. You're breaking the law by driving without a license, but as long as you don't get pulled over or get in an accident, you can drive without a license. That's what he's telling us.
they patrol Interstate 5, especially northbound through.
Your Honor, I would object. These are opposing arguments and not so much.
Can I have counsel approach, please?
If you never get caught, you can do whatever you want. I think that's what he's saying.
Anyway, your jurors, thank you for being here today, and we want this case tried fairly. We want it. We don't want the merits of the that are either in the state's favor or the merits in the accused, myself, in my favor. We don't want those overlooked, because there's a lot of money involved. And the reason,
Your Honor, I object for the same reason. Again, we're on. This is
Yeah,
argument.
Mr. Frog, would you please just ask the jurors questions?
okay, sir.
Hey, Annette, since you just said you're an attorney, are objections normal during questioning of jurors? Does this happen a lot, or juror selection? I have a feeling that this doesn't usually happen, but I want to know. I want to know.
Now, I take it, Your Honor, I'm asking questions to not any specific juror, but to the pool.
You're allowed to ask them all questions or just one of them. It's up to you.
The question that the state posed the state's attorney is, why do the state require a license? Now, my answer to that is more comprehensive. I know number 13, a juror back there. Could you clarify your answer, sir, as to why they require?
Disagreement with the on why the law.
Why a certain law exists in the enforcement of that law?
No, just about the
What was that specific law?
requirement to have.
Well, I think we all agree that the requirement to have a license is a valid requirement. But do any jurors agree or disagree that the privilege to drive or the requirement for the license should not be abused by the system or misadjudicated? Does anyone disagree with that? Does everybody agree with that? Well, the requirement to have a license and the resulting traffic stops that attach your license or put a mark or put a flag on your license, it should not be based on conditions outside the motorist control, such as traffic conditions, road signage, driver's behavior. Would anybody disagree with that? Do you want me to read? Do you want me to? Well, I'm saying that your license and the traffic stops should not be based on nitpicking reasons. And if they are nitpicking reasons, the court should adjudicate that based on the favorable merits to the motorist that was stopped. Because road conditions, weather, other motorists, their driving behavior.
Your Honor, I object for the same reason. This is again, this argumentative and not selection of jury.
Mr. Frog, don't explain your beliefs to jurors. Ask the jurors questions about their qualifications to serve on this jury.
Okay, Your Honor. Let me see if I can put this in a different way. The validity of the suspensions is in question. And it's based on traffic stops that are,
Your Honor, the state objects again, presenting issues at the trial, it's just jury selection.
Yeah, Mr. Farag, the court will advise the jury on the law.
well, we're getting to the point to where I can't even rephrase my questions. But do any of the jurors here believe that a third-degree suspended license is either black or white? There's no gray areas. Does anyone believe in that? What's that? Go ahead, sir.
Yes, we agree, black or white, correct?
Yeah.
I believe it's very clear, so yes, I agree with that statement.
You agree with that? There's no gray areas? It's either you're suspended or you're not suspended, right?
Yeah.
Well, why do we have a trial?
That question you asked was, is there a gray area after a suspension? If you're suspended, that's black and white.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, and I have a problem with that. But in this particular case, there's gray areas, there's mitigating circumstances. And the court, do any of you jurors believe that the court has their adjudication is beyond question up to this point? The adjudication means how they handled this matter from the time that I was summoned, from the time that the State Patrol referred my infraction to the court, to this point where there's a trial. Do any of you believe that the court is, that their discretion, their handling of the case and the decisions and the addressing the problems and the questions and is beyond question? Anybody?
I'm confused. So if a license is suspended, something occurred, is the ability to drive withdrawn, restricted, or can you drive while the license is suspended pending a trial? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking whether the suspension is valid, is enforceable, is
By definition, it's enforceable until you go to trial.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, the suspected juror, the potential juror, he's telling him this guy about the law. It's funny. Oh, all right. We're about halfway through. You notice that the prosecutor spent about 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes for the defendant. I never remember this guy's name, but we're only halfway through, and it gets heated here shortly. So once again, if you guys need a break, it's a good time to go now. Got some mind numbness coming up in the next probably 2 or 3 minutes, and then it gets heated.
if we go to trial and the jury disagrees with the validity of the suspension, then the jurors would vote for me instead of the state.
I would support the ruling in the court after trial.
What is your thinking that the ruling of the court's going to be?
Don't know. Have to the circumstances.
Like the reason for the traffic stop?
Sure.
For example, the reason I was stopped and cited for third-degree suspended, that's very questionable. So I think the jury, would you agree or disagree with that? Who would agree with that? Right, that's why we have a trial to determine whether that suspension is valid in order to put me on trial and have the jury decide the matter. Now, do all you jurors, practically 18, if not all of you, 20 jurors, said that you live within Thurston County? Is that correct? Now, do you jurors travel Interstate 5? Do the other jurors that didn't raise their hand, do they use the city streets? Or do you use the I-5? Both? Well,
But not in my head,
I didn't,
not in my head, to be I-5 question. Not really,
yeah.
but not in my head.
So you drive the local streets? And do you think there's any restrictions in the local streets that you have to drive Interstate 5 instead of the local streets, such as roundabouts? You said you drive the local streets, right? And you drive I-5 too, right? Now, when you drive on the freeway, do other motorists going slow or going fast affect how you drive? Raise your hand. Okay, so if for example, a truck is going slow, you have to get around him. You have to do it expeditiously so you don't hold up other traffic that's behind you. Isn't that fair? Fair, reasonable driving?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if the car is going fast, if cars are going slow, if there's congestion, you don't want to contribute to the congestion, so you're going to have to pass. Isn't that a safe manner of proceeding around the congestion? Wait till what? And well, if it's safe to get around them and the other traffic behind you is pressing you, wouldn't that be contradictory to staying behind the congestion of the traffic or trying to get around them? Well, that's if there's no way to get around them.
First rule, in any traffic situation, stay in your lane.
Well, do you believe that there's a multitude of
While eating a steady diet of government cheese.
variables that you either stay in your lane or you go around them. What rule is that, sir? And where do you get that? Where do you get that thinking from? What's that? So studying for your license? The driver's guide? The driver's guide.
It's in there. That's how I got a lot of mine. Right.
Here's the driver's guide, the current one. I have an older copy. And at the first introductory pages, you have a letter, a letter.
Your Honor, the state would object. It is doing the presentation of something.
Well, I'm getting ready to ask a question.
Address your comments to the court, please. And it's not proper to introduce exhibits during jury selection.
Well, anyway, the first 2 pages has got a letter from the governor and a letter from the secretary of the Department of Licensing. And what about campers?
Not only that, but if you don't watch LawTube on YouTube or any courts or whatever, and this is your first taste of the court system, oh my, that would be hilarious. I want to interview that guy or woman.
Does anybody here in the jury know what camping in the lane means?
So for your reference, you're not the jury yet. You're the juror pool. The jury's not been selected yet.
Mr. Farag, that's time. Can I have the attorneys and Mr. Farag approach, please? And members of the jury, you can take a break in place. Just, I ask you to just sort of keep facing this way because the attorneys will need to turn around and look at your numbers.
All right. Luckily, he leaves his mic on and we get to hear this whole discussion. It's good. It's a good one. But there's about 10-15 minutes left. If you haven't done it already, please like and subscribe. Also, hi, Heather. Colin, just tell your grandfather it's my grandfather. Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. I'll just tell him to get a license. I wish I could grow that beard. No, I don't really. No, I'll take my hair over that beard any day. Yes. What was I saying? Like and subscribe. Do your jump kick backflips. If you would like to donate, the link tree is in the description. Yeah, I'm not saying bye yet. There's still about 15 minutes left. Just wanted a friendly reminder.
And this bench conference is on the record. So this is the device that records. So make sure you're speaking as close to that as you reasonably can. Okay, the first order of business here is going to be any challenges you may have. And so I'm going to start with you, Mr. Robbins. And
Listen, I'm finished asking questions.
You're finished because your time's up. I told you that this. I did.
And besides,
I
I'm
told
not
you
getting
twice.
enough minutes.
Twice.
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
This is an example.
How many minutes were you giving? Sign
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Mr. Robbins didn't use 20 minutes, but you did. So now this is the part of the trial where we're doing jury selection and we're doing any challenges you may have for cause. And I'm starting Mr. Robbins. And it was going to go to you next.
Could we just clarify the relationship?
Yeah, sure. He's somebody. Okay, just personal. Okay. We're not related or in business together or anything like that. Understood. Nobody followed up with that. I figured you would, but were you challenging for cause or just asking? Just asking. But do you have any cause challenges? No. Okay. Thank you. All right. So Mr. Frog, it's your turn. Do you want to challenge any of these jurors for cause?
About the statement, you want to challenge
He
me?
didn't want to challenge me for cause.
Yeah, I'm gonna challenge, this last juror that was speaking, was that
Mhm.
number 12,
13.
13? I'm gonna challenge him for,
Okay, what's the basis for that challenge?
he seems to be speaking as far as you're driving in an oppressive way. There's no flexibility in what he's saying as far as you're driving. You stay behind the congestion. There's room to pass, you can't pass. And that's oppressive. It doesn't promote harmony on the road. And that means safety. Because the congestion, I've seen a lot of renders respond.
That's just, that was just his belief, that was not everybody else's belief. I think that was a true conflict.
Listen, I can't hear what he's saying.
Lean in a little closer then.
No speaker.
I'm gonna deny the challenge for cause. The reason is that that does not articulate any reason to believe that that juror would be unable to be impartial or that the juror would not.
Being the jury foreman.
If you have to stop interrupting me, Mr. Brown. This is non-negotiable.
Well, your disqualification is non-negotiable.
So to finish what I was saying, there was no indication that he would be unwilling to follow the instructions of the court. So I will deny the challenge for cause. Do you have another challenge for cause for any
I
other
have
juror?
3 to choose from without cause.
Correct. We're not to that point.
No, I didn't get a chance to. Are we
Okay.
gonna do individual
Yeah.
questioning of the jurors?
No. We're gonna do individual one at a time, peremptory challenges. That's the next part of this. So the state gets 3, you get 3, and you'll exercise in return, one after the other. So starting with
Until we pare it down to 7.
until you've done all your peremptory challenges.
Well, I get 3, he gets 3, there's 6. Minus 20, that brings it down to 20.
Potentially 14.
13.
There could potentially be more left unchallenged than we actually need for the jury, but that's fine. We're just
Who's
gonna
gonna
take,
end it? How-
we're gonna
how-
take, as I said in the beginning, we're gonna take the first 6 qualified jurors.
Well, Judge,
Again, Mr. Robbins.
Your Honor, the state would to address the potential hardship of having Gianni. Both of them had a work conflict, I believe, especially 15.
Didn't think those conflicts were particularly strong.
I'll just give you honors. Then,
But as far as, but do you have any peremptories?
yes, Your Honor, number 4.
So the state has exercised the peremptory challenge on juror number 4. It's their first peremptory. So your first peremptory, Mr. Brown.
just by appearances. I didn't. I wasn't clear. I didn't hear. You didn't make it. You didn't make it clear and audible.
We're past that. I need to know your first peremptory challenge. If you have one.
No, I would just be guessing by the looks of the jurors.
It appears to me that you may have been somewhat confused by my answer with regard to your challenge for cause. You are also allowed, if you would like, to strike that juror with the peremptory challenge.
Oh, okay. He got number 4, right?
Yes.
Okay. The preemptory challenge, that's one of my 3. Okay, I'll take 13 out.
Okay, so you're second.
5.
So the state's second was juror number 5. And your second peremptory challenge.
But I don't want to be limited short on this trial, Judge. I mean, jury questions, the time is arbitrary.
No, it's not.
I believe it is.
It's my obligation to manage the time during which we use various components of the trial. That's my role in this, and that's what, trials are always shorter than you think they are. Any experienced attorney will tell you that. So I need to know if you are going to exercise another practice challenge.
I don't know. Is there any other entries? Have him take his third?
Pass.
Not necessarily.
Mr. Hunt,
I saw you saying if I don't do my preemptory now, I lose it.
if you accept the jury panel. Yes, I'm confused exactly what you want to do.
Well,
Do you want him to use all of his peremptories before you use yours? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, you can't do that.
well, if he takes three, I take three. He's about
They go
24.
One at
23
a time.
Oh, one at a time,
peremptory for each of you at a time. They go back and forth until you've each exercised 3.
Right, that brings it down to 20, 20, 14,
Yeah.
13 or 14.
14.
Because you said there was a seventh juror.
Well, that's going to be next. We're going to get to the alternate juror next. Seven. And this will be your final peremptory challenge.
Can't reserve that last.
You're done. You're done.
And that does that at this point, without my third, as you call it, preemptory, without that, is it going to be pared down to 13?
The top 6.
Oh,
We're going to take the top 6.
you take the top
If
6.
you don't have any more, we're going to take the top 6. I need to know, like, now, whether you're exercising or not.
So we have the top 6 at this point is 1, 3,
No,
6, 8, 9, and 10.
no, the top 6 are 2, 3, 8, 9, 10.
8, 9, and 10.
Unless you strike one. I do need to know that.
Okay, let me give me just a second. And everything after number 10 would be excused, right?
No, one of these will be an alternate, and then everyone after that will be excused.
How's that going to be chosen?
The next juror in line.
Oh, he would become the alternate?
Right.
Oh, I see. And then we'll get to it later as far as the foreman.
They do that. That is not, we're not doing that here. They do that later. So again, you're going to need to use your final preemptory, or I'm going to move on to the alternate. So you have no further peremptory challenges.
Here, I'll tell you what, I need to choose one.
You don't have to.
Okay, I guess I won't. But what
That's
time are
fine.
we gonna cut off this afternoon?
After we give our open. All right, so the 6 jurors will be 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, and 10. Do you, I guess before I get into the selecting the alternate, do you believe it's necessary to have an alternate for the shop?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But unless you have a strong objection to that, I think that makes sense because we're having people come over overnight and sometimes things happen. We could use an alternate. So that means that number 11 will be the alternate. And I'm going to ask you first, Mr. Robbins, are you going to exercise your single peremptory for this alternate? Okay, and Mr. Frog, are you?
No.
Then we have our 3. What I'm going to do is I'll have you go back to your seats. I'll tell them who's on the jury. And then once we've excused the remainder, then be prepared to deliver openings after I advise them.
Now, Judge, am I gonna be restricted as far as my time?
Yes, you are. Both of
Like,
you
in
are.
what way?
I'll go over that with you in just a minute.
There's too many restrictions. I'm not getting very comfortable.
Sashina, that's a list of numbers that I know very well. It's a programming formula that I had to memorize. I don't remember the actual name of the numbers. They're prime numbers, but there's an actual name for it. I don't remember what it is. I don't remember the name of it. But yeah, anyways. So this is fun, right? Got just a minute or two left. I'm going to pause it right before the end and send out my up-to-date thank you list for all the super chats. So if you'd like to jump on this list, now's the time. You got about 2 minutes.
All right. These are yours, Mr. Frog. I'm going to give them back to you. All right, members of the panel, we've got the 7 of you who are going to be members of the jury. So I will announce who is on the jury. And if I don't mention your number, you are excused from further service in this case. The members of this jury will be numbers 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. The remainder of you are excused from further service in this case. Thank you for participating with us. Make sure you check in with jury services if they've instructed you to do that. Now, for the jurors whose numbers I did call, I'm going to ask you to get up from where you are and go over here, and the clerk will seat you in these chairs. Yeah, I'll give you a break in just a second, okay? Yeah. Okay, so gentlemen, you'll do it? Okay. Yeah, let's move. Oh, I thought you're on.
I think this is it.
I
Yeah,
just,
they're moving the podium back. This is it. All right. Let's. Hi. How's everyone doing? Yeah. This is only half over. Tomorrow I will do opening statements and probably just the first witness. Yeah, because closing happens really fast. Closing only takes about 10 minutes. But and verdict only takes, yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. All right. Yes, the Fibonacci sequence. That's what I was trying to remember. You nailed it, Phil. I think it was Phil that said that. All right, up-to-date list of people to thank. Trying to scroll down. All right. Got Craig, who, yeah, wow. Thank you so much, Craig. I very much appreciate it. 2 big donations. I very much appreciate it. Got Melissa, Debbie, Jennifer, Belinda, P&D Works. I remember you told me who you were in the chat, and I don't remember, but you said it was going to come across as P&D Works. I don't remember who you said it was. I apologize for that. Peeps, thank you. Jennifer, thank you. And AAU has been killing it as well. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. That's all I got. Like I said, we'll do the next part tomorrow. I've got a couple other videos I wanted to put out, but I wanted to put out this tonight. So I put out this tonight. I've got a good couple clips from DeSanto today that I want to share tomorrow. See, I got a good Middleton clip I want to share tomorrow. And yeah, and then I got some clips from the rest of the week that I'm going to put out Friday because I really don't think courts are going to be open on Friday. Not sure. I really don't know, but probably not. It's a government holiday, so they're going to be closed. So, yeah. That's all I got. Thanks for coming. If you haven't done already, like and subscribe. Do jump kick backflips. And as always, link trees in the description. Until next time. Bye. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving. I'll say that tonight in case you guys are busy tomorrow. So happy Thanksgiving. All right. Everybody have a good night.
Did you? I think this is it.